Chapter 7, The Running Gag. The nobles of Canterlot were rather shocked, and to a certain degree offended, when Celestia announced shortly after raising the sun the next morning that day court would be cancelled for the foreseeable future. The moment the announcement had spread, Prince Blueblood had rushed to his aunt's side to demand explanation. "Princess Celestia, you can't be serious!" he proclaimed as the princess of the day joined her sister in a sky chariot, guards from both their divisions charged to pull them to Ponyville before the sun was fully visible in the sky above that lovely town. "What possible reason could you have for cancelling day court without explanation?" "It's personal, Blueblood," Celestia scolded. "I don't have to explain beyond that." But what am I supposed to tell the nobles?" Blueblood begged, desperate to, if not make Celestia see reason, then to get a rational explanation out of her. Celestia, however, was having none of it. She had worried nearly as much over Spike's absence as Twilight and her friends had. She was quite fond of the young dragon, and, knowing how long dragons tended to live in comparison to ponies, had been counting rather heavily on Spike's friendship to fill the void for her when mortality eventually claimed their shared friends. Now that Luna had informed her that he had returned, nothing was going to stand in the way of checking in on him, and sharing her former students' joy in the reunion. As such, she glowered down at Blueblood and stated quite coldly, "Tell them to stick it," before slamming the door of the chariot in his face. The guards immediately took to the sky, dragging the chariot after them on the way to Ponyville. Luna let out a low whistle of surprise. "I ne'er thought to see this side of you again, dear sister," she murmured appreciatively. "'Tis good to see that eons of politicking have not completely robbed you of your spine in personal matters." "Oh hush, Lula," Celestia countered, her face stern. However, she wasn't able to maintain it, and before long burst into giggles. "I've been wanting to do something like that for so long." "Then it was well overdue," Luna assured her, smiling. Celestia sighed in relief. "Now then, you were saying something about Spike being different? I'm afraid I didn't quite catch it all." Luna nodded. "Well, I am unsure I understand it all myself, but apparently, he was displaced in time as well as space, and lifespan as well. He found his way to somewhere else in reality where he was raised to maturity by an alien being." "I didn't quite catch it all." Celestia, much to Luna's surprise, groaned in frustration. "Oh great, one of those! Tia? Thou art familiar with such things?" While Luna had mostly left old speech behind, she slipped into it on occasion due to excitement, stress, exhaustion, or a desire to be cute. "In concept only," Celestia groaned. "A unicorn of Ponyville, a Miss Lyra Heartstrings, is a rather large fan of the My Little Human franchise, and after Twilight went to the human alternate world and discovered they had a show called My Little Pony, she started getting a little too excited about the parallels." "Oh dear," Luna murmured. "What happened?" "She wrote a fanfic called My Little Dashie where Rainbow Dash wound up being raised in the human world by someone who knew about our world through a TV show manifestation," Celestia explained. "It became so popular, I was asked to depend my thoughts on the subject." Celestia fell silent. "Sister? What did you say?" Luna asked worriedly. "I found the science of the magic involved a tad unrealistic, but other than that, the only thing that stood out to me was how I was characterized in the final chapter, when Twilight, her friends, and I arrived to bring Rainbow home." Celestia groaned. "I haven't heard the end of that story since." "I see," Luna replied. "Well, Spike did not return alone. The one who raised him returned with him. So not only do I need to embrace Spike warmly to welcome him home, I also have to balance familial welcome with diplomatic behavior for first contact with an alien species?" Celestia asked in disbelief. "You certainly know how to drop unpleasant surprises, Luna." "Fear not," Luna hastened to reassure her. "From what I understand, the new parental figure is a warrior woman with little patience for such diplomatic formalities. We should instead use the diplomatic approach we used back when we first took the throne." Celestia smirked. "Oh, so I should challenge her to a hoof wrestle in a drinking contest?" Luna chuckled. "From what I saw in Twilight's dreams, she lacks hooves, but I believe she will appreciate casual familiarity over formal diplomacy. She is kin to Spike. Spike is kin to Twilight. As a princess, Twilight is kin to us. We should simply treat her as a family member we have not met yet." Celestia smiled softly. "I suppose that would be more comfortable all around. Besides," Luna pointed out wickedly, "I intend to challenge her to the drinking contest." "Oh, you," Celestia chuckled, giving her sister a playful nudge and an affectionate nuzzle, which were eagerly returned. "So, what does this say for how different Spike is?" Luna smiled mysteriously. "I would rather keep that as a surprise, dear sister. I want to see your face on first sight. However, all I will say, he is most definitely not a baby dragon anymore." "Goodness!" Celestia replied, her eyes widening as the chariot landed before the Crystal Tree Castle. "I wonder how Twilight is handling that." "Better than last night, with luck," Luna replied as they disembarked the chariot and entered the castle through the open doors. The two princesses found the 6 friends, Spike, and an armored stranger gathered around the breakfast table, though their eyes were drawn immediately to Pinkie Pie standing over Twilight with a strange light in her eye. "Say woof, Twilight!" she shouted. What?" Twilight asked in shock. "Not what, woof," Pinkie corrected. "Everyone else has already said it. Fluttershy, Rarity, and I said it when he first showed up. Sunset and the entire school said it through the mirror. Rainbow said it during their flying competition. Now wait a minute! Rainbow complained. And Applejack said it when you were sleeping in Spike's coils." Pinkie finished. Applejack blushed brightly, pulling her hat down over her head as many of the other mares turned to stare. Celestia, meanwhile, was distracted by the mention of coils, and turned her eyes to Spike. She found him, but if not for his color scheme and kind eyes, she would not have recognized him. He was the same size as her now, maybe a little taller, and definitely more well fleshed out. Between the way his muscles rippled under his scales, the way his scales shone only slightly less brightly than his armor, and the wisdom and experience visible in his eyes and battle-scarred face. "Woof," she whispered. "Woof, indeed," Luna agreed, licking her lips. See? See?" Pinkie Pie demanded. "Even the princesses said it. Say woof, Twilight! Say it! Be but he's my son!" Twilight complained. "What's that got to do with being doggies?" Pinkie demanded angrily. Celestia, Luna, Rainbow Dash, and Samus all burst into laughter at that statement. "What did I say?" Pinkie demanded as Celestia and Luna took places made for them at the table. Spike, meanwhile, began serving a heaping breakfast of his famous dragon waffles. Celestia chose not to question how he still knew how to make them. She settled instead for enjoying them,